This is just a quick video on removing the wheels on this Triumph Speed Triple. It's a very simple process, but it might help people who have never taken the wheel off a single sided swing arm before. Stick around and I'll show you how. So I'm getting the wheels off to have some tyres fitted. It's currently running Michelin Pilot Road 4s, and I'm going to have some Road 5s. The tyres look a little worn, so the front one doesn't look too bad, but it has taken on this feathering effect, so that will need to be changed as well. So with the bike in the air, I'm just going to undo these two pinch bolts. It's a 6mm Allen key or hex nut. You'll also need to remove your brake calipers. This is an 8mm X key. Try to have something at hand to hang your caliper on. A bungee is ideal. Okay, repeat that the other side. Now I'm going to undo the axle. This is 17mm. So I've encountered a little problem when trying to take the spindle out. I'm undoing it and it's just undoing from this side, but it's not pushing itself out the other side. So what I've done, I've put a ratchet strap through the wheel to keep the forks together, because it's just pushing the fork out. So hopefully then that pressure will push the axle out the correct way. Be careful if you do this, don't put this on the outside of your ABS ring, because it could bend it, so through there should be okay. Let's see if this will work. Okay, so all I'm getting at the moment is these things are pushing apart, but it's not pushing the spindle through the other side. I don't want to go bashing around too much with a hammer. Wow, that really shouldn't be that difficult. So I was trying to persuade it through from the other side using this extension socket, but then that got too small, so I had to use a long screwdriver. That really shouldn't have been that difficult. So you could see the problem I was having getting the spindle out from the front wheel. I was getting a little bit confused as to why. So I cleaned up the spindle and I've cleaned up the spacers, and while trying to put them on, you can see that they just seem incredibly tight. So this was the outer edge, and that was the inner edge. Now the inner edge seems to go in okay, but it just seems to catch on the outer edge. The other one is exactly the same, so that's the inner edge. It's just the outer edge seems to be catching. So I think the best thing to do is try and file down a little bit of the lip and see if I can improve the way that the spacer goes onto the spindle. And I'm not saying this is the correct thing to do, don't just go following what I'm doing. Like I say, I'm not a motorbike mechanic, but a spacer pretty much is just a spacer. There's no reason why it should be that tight. There we go, then that didn't take a lot. So I'm not sure if the pressure of the torque setting, maybe it's been over torqued in the past. Let's put a little bit of pressure, squashed a little bit of this alloy and caused a problem. So much better. Let's try the other one. There we go. That literally took a couple of minutes. So there was obviously just a little lip on there. Like I've said, I'm not a mechanic. I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do, but surely it being that tight wasn't correct either. Also maybe a good idea to go around some of the rougher edges with a little bit of wet and dry. And it's probably a good idea to give it a little clean down as well with something like brake cleaner, just to get rid of all the burrs and filings. There we go, that seems to be more like it. Like I said, maybe it was over torqued in the past, which give it a problem. Okay, now it's time for the back wheel. Hopefully this will be much easier on the front. So first you need a 4mm Allen key to take this off. Not all bikes will have one of these. It's just a cover. You will then need to take off your circlip. And then you need the mighty 46mm socket. Okay, when removing the wheel, try to remember the order in which the nut spacers, etc. come off. So you'll have your nut first. Then you'll have your conical spacer, which is a curved spacer. Try to remember which way around this goes. So if you can imagine this spacer being like a saucer, an upturned saucer. So this is the bottom of the saucer and this is the lip of the saucer. So that goes in first. Then you have a small shim. And then it's the main conical spacer. There we go, and the wheel comes off a lot easier. Okay, so we got the Road 5s back. So let's give it a little clean in the general area so the wheel sits nicely. I did notice a little bit of copper grease on the thread, which I've never put on there. It must have been there from the factory. I've never thought about putting any on, but I'll put a little smear on it, it couldn't harm. And remember the order of assembly. So it's the large spacer first, then it's your shim. I do like to put a little bit of, only a tiny bit of grease on here, just to stop anything kind of seizing up or any rust or corrosion. Then it's your conicled washer. So remember now the lead-in outer edge in first. And then it's your nut. And the torque setting for the rear nut is 146 Newton meters. Then it's your clip, your retaining clip. And if you have one, your cover. So the manual recommends a little coating of grease onto the spacers. Now personally, I've always given the axle a light coating of grease as well. I don't know if that's recommended, but I can't see it harming. So the torque setting on the front spindle is 65 Newton meters. I have no idea what I've set to in the past because that seemed really difficult to get out. Before you do up your pinch bolts, the manual recommends that you pump the suspension on the front to what they describe as float the axle into the correct position before doing up the pinch bolts. So I guess it means aligning it. And then it's your pinch bolts to 19 Newton meters. Okay, remember to fit your brakes back on. Remembering your copper grease. Your torque setting for your brake caliper is 55 Newton meters. Then repeat the other side. Just remember to have a little spin of the wheel. Just make sure everything is lined up properly. Particularly things like your ABS sensor. I don't know if you can see it there. Also a good idea when you finish to give your discs a little spray with some brake cleaner, just in case you've picked up any dirt, grease or oil. So there's your Road 5s fitted. Remember to check your own tyre pressures, just in case your tyre fitter didn't set them to your specifications. If you like that video, hit like and subscribe to the channel.